This is an injury-focused abs workout. So we all know how to do the chest lifts, but how do we prevent neck pain? So the great thing is you can actually use a Pilates ring. So do the chest lifts normally with your Pilates ring behind your head. Now if your hands just pressed against the holder, so you slowly lift your head round your back and again lift to the tips of your shoulders. As you lift, you notice that you're not putting too much pressure on your neck by pulling your chin closer towards your chest. Instead, you notice that you're actually pushing your head right back into the ring. So with your hands to support that ring, you'll be able to stabilize your neck properly as you do the crunches. Now, the next one, we're gonna do rolling like a ball. And a lot of times we feel that there's too much pressure on our tailbone, right? So this is for those who have sensitive tailbone while you want to still do a rolling like a ball. Now remember, if you have slipped disc, please don't do this movement. There are so many other core movements that you can do. But for now, this is to target sensitive tailbone. You can also put a pad underneath your tailbone for those who have lower back pain. Just a nice support won't ever harm. Rolling like a ball just like usual, making sure that you're rolling towards the wider part of your shoulder blades, heads lifted away from the ground. And then as you lift, balance in a comfortable point, keep your feet away from the ground. It is quite difficult, but you'll get used to it. Now, the next one, we're gonna get into our teaser. Same thing, you can slide the pad just right underneath your balancing point. This time to modify it a little bit, especially for those who have tight hamstrings, you're gonna bring your hands behind your thighs, push your thighs into your hands. Now, the trick to keeping your chest wide open is to keep pulling your elbows out. Basically, you're working on your biceps as well. Look forward, relax your jaw, relax your neck. As you extend your legs, try to straighten your legs and point your toes to stabilize your legs further. Now you can hold it here in the teaser with your hands assisting you, especially for those with tight hips. If this is too hard for your hamstrings, just bend your knees slightly. That's still okay. It's all about stabilizing your pelvis, stabilizing your core. Now, we're gonna get into our hip dips. Hip dips, a lot of people have issues with their elbows or their wrists, and with the pads, this is a great, comfortable way to support your joints, your elbows. Now, forearms down, nose just over your thumbs. Do the hip dips by pressing your forearms across the pads. So we're not really digging your elbows, putting those pressure into the elbows. In fact, you're putting the pressure across the forearms. Now, squeeze your inner thighs, keep your legs straight, keep your core tight, and then dip your hips left to right. With the tips, think about dipping your hips left to right. Hip bone pointing to the left and pointing to the right for deeper obliques twist. Now we move on to our side lift, left side. Many times people have told me that they feel the pressure on their knees. So this is a great one for those who have sensitive knees. Now, as you get into your side lift, press your forearms away from the ground. Of course, if you have sensitive elbow, you can also put the pad right underneath your elbow. But right now, let's focus on the knees. Keep your knees stacked. And then as you lift, you raise your hips, you reach your arm up and over, you feel the stretch along the side. You're working on your lateral sling here. Breathe in here, and you reach. Now, moving on, we're gonna get into our side plank hold. Again, we're going to still focus on the right side, making sure that your elbows underneath your shoulder. Now you can stack your feet. Now this is a pretty intense one. If this is way too much for your obliques, your shoulders, then you can always bring your knees down to kind of modify this movement. Otherwise, lift your top leg up. This is actually a great one that my physio told me to rehab my ankle. This is to train up the ankle strength again. This is definitely pretty much like a really tough hold, but of course, through practice, you'll be able to get through it and even hold it for a longer time. Keep breathing though. All right, done. Now, moving on to the other side. And again, you can place the pad just right underneath your knees. Make sure elbows underneath your shoulder, knee in line with your elbow. You can always look towards your hand and then look up and over. This is a nice way to stretch out the side. Work on your lateral sling again, basically working on one side of your body. This encourages you to work on the balance, work on the deeper core muscles, work on the stability of your obliques and your pelvis. Getting there. All right, the next one. Again, place the forearm just over the pads. Stack your feet or stagger or even bend your knees down for the side plank hold. If you want to train up the ankles, do this. While you're holding, think about pushing your forearms away from the ground. Lift from your rib cage, lift from your hips so you don't really collapse. Keep breathing. And smile. Time passes when you smile. Now we're going to get into our forearm side to side. Pads underneath your elbows. This one, you're going to make sure that your feet's as wide as your hips, or even wider. The wider you put your feet, the easier for you to balance. Now for this one, it targets mostly on your obliques and your balance. You work on your full core strength. Inhale, reach arms up. Exhale down, and then inhale again, reach all the way up. Notice how you move along from your ankles. This strengthens your ankles. This also helps opening up your back. For the femur arc, it's not that difficult, but a lot of times people who have kyphosis, meaning they hunch their back a lot, then their head is popped up, so they actually need more support for their head so that they can keep the alignment from the head, shoulder blades to their hips. Now I also put the pad underneath my pelvis because some people have sensitive tailbone. So you can actually have a comfortable neutral spine without having to feel like very strenuous along the shoulder muscles just to try to keep holding on to a good form. And with a neutral spine, you do the femur arc, meaning you feel the stretch along your hip flexors, and then as you lift your legs, you work on the deeper core muscles. On to the next, reverse burpee. Now, reverse burpees instead of burpees because some people have injuries that they don't want to jump just to protect their joints. Or if it's not a day that you feel like you want to do cardio, this is a good alternative. Now stay in the plank, and then you're going to bend your knees, walk back, and then reach your arms up. Now as you reach your arms up and roll down, I want you to move from your bone section by section, bone by bone. This is also a good way to stretch out the lower back as you crawl back into a hover. Okay, easy peasy. Next one, we're gonna get into our wood chop. So finally something standing that we can work on our core as well. If you want, you can always use weights to intensify this workout. Otherwise, for those who have wrist issues and don't want to use weights, just simply hold on to your hands and then keep your arms straight. Get into your squats, turn from your shoulders, and then you reach across your body, work on your obliques. This trains up the hips, your glutes, your quads, and also your obliques. Inhale down and exhale, reach. Onto the right side. Squat and reach. Next step, squat, kick to hand. All these movements are low impact. So if you're not a big fan of cardio, this is wonderful. Make sure as you get into a squat, you pull your hips back. You feel the heaviness in your heels. Feel the pressure in your glutes and your quads, and then you kick your leg up, reach towards your toes, work a little bit more on the twist so you get a nice burn along your obliques. And there it is. Nice and easy. Pretty quick finish, huh? Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Now we're gonna come to a squat. We're gonna sit low, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and stand up tall, squat. So you might wonder why we're doing this. You don't really feel that absolute burn in your abs. The thing is, with the squats, you can train up your pelvic floor muscles and you can work on the deeper core muscles just to stabilize your back. This is a good core alternative exercise for those who don't want to lie on the back because of back issues, and this is a good one to train up the core.